in West Coast Swing. What's up, everyone? Brian B.
Miss Megan.
And Miss Emily.
With Mr. Ben behind the camera here. We're talking about what it takes to be a good leader and a good follower. We actually decided to combine these two. These are going to be two separate classes, but we decided to combine them because the main elements are really the same between us. And so as we were thinking about, we were talking about taking an approach to this video, we decided, or maybe I decided, that we would start with like a little discussion up front, which will get you guys an opportunity to get your questions together, and then we'll roll into the practical stuff. So what does it take to make a good leader or follower? Who wants to start?
Well, Megan, you have the mic.
Good deal. Okay.
Do we have success? Fantastic. So a couple of things that we talked about that make good followers or good, are we talking followers?
Both.
Both. Clarity. So clarity in connection, footwork, and our timing. Those are all going to be three key elements for all of us to kind of master and get comfortable with.
Yeah, so the boring stuff, and we're going to come back around to the boring stuff because that's the most applicable to all of us, but understanding your bass patterns, are you in a push, pass, or a whip? Understanding your footwork within that is super key. Number two is your connection, and we actually put that over number three, your timing, because in the early stages, there are times as a leader that I have to dance with a follower that doesn't have good timing, or vice versa. The ladies have to dance with a leader that doesn't have good timing. So the way we teach wedding couples is, we have couples that come in for 3 to 12 lessons, and we tell them, look, you guys need to dance together. If you're on the music, because you're brand new, if you're on the music, great, but as long as you're together, everything is good to go, right? So we're going to talk about our basic patterns and understanding our footwork, our connection, and then our timing. That's the boring stuff, but what makes a really good dance at a high level, because this is the less boring stuff, at a high level, what makes a good dance for a follower, for you guys?
Being able to adapt to your partner, for one.
At a higher level, musicality is also a key thing. So understanding the timing and also being able to play within what you are given. So the leader being comfortable with adapting and kind of following the follower, and then followers kind of knowing where you can play and not affect what they are doing too.
But what makes an amazing dance? When you dance with someone, because I know you guys there have been cases where there's an awkward looking guy perhaps who doesn't look stellar on the floor, and the girls will come back off the floor and go, oh my God, the tall skinny guy, he's really good. What makes those dances good?
They make you feel like $1 million.
Yeah, for sure the musicality has a big deal to do with it. I think just the way that you are getting led into things and the way you can play off of things with your partner. So like Emily has stated in our conversation earlier, it's a conversation between the two dancers instead of just a lead and a follow doing their thing.
I'm going to be dorky because I've said this before, and I'll probably do this in the next video on musicality. Numbers to leave numbers. What that means is we go through all these boring steps of learning our basic patterns and our footwork and our timing and understanding musicality mathematically. But in the end, on a good dance, it just goes away, right? It just goes away that you can enjoy the dance. So these are the elements all the steps that we have to go through. All the professionals have already tackled all of these steps. So we're going to get into some practical stuff. But do we have any questions as we're going? No questions so far. How many people are joining us, Ben?
34 on YouTube and 23 on Facebook.
Yeah, so we got 50, 60 people joining us, so that's cool.
Tracy Martin says hi.
Hello,
Hi,
Tracy
Tracy.
Martin from Greater Indy. Soul in Motion, soulinmotion.com, I think that's her website. Check it out if you're into philosophical stuff of the mind. She's great at that stuff. So, obviously we have to know our basic patterns, right? So our pushes, passes, and whips. So I tell people, if the very first thing that you can do to tackle becoming a good partner on either side of the equation, you're like,
You have a mic.
This
is
was
our
our
mic.
I feel like we should be closer together.
We only need one mic.
You were in the middle right here. We got our shot lined up. If you can dance, if you can dance,
like this awkwardly.
if you can dance your push, pass, and whip, just a sugar push, a right side pass, and a whip by yourself to music, that is the number one. If I were to give number one thing you can do as a leader or follower, that would be it, right? Put some music on, dance a sugar push, right? Dance a side pass, and dance a whip. If you can do that, then you're ready to go on number 2, which is work on your connection. However, you can't do that because we're in lockdown.
No,
But
you can.
You can? How so?
Talk about your drill.
Oh, okay. Turn around. All right, so imagine that Brian B is a wall. Hard to do, right? So if you started, go back here. Sorry, we're tethered together a little bit. So if you started, let's just say doing a sugar push, I would start just a tiny bit away from the wall. You're gonna do your sugar push, 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and on count 6, you're going to melt all the way, I might have started a little too far away, into the wall. And that's going to help you connect back. Now, this is not going to be the same connection that you have in your arm, but we will talk about that in a second. So one more time, if I started just a little bit closer. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and I saw you in the mirror.
Equal parts entertainment and learning.
But anyway, you're going to try and connect your whole core or your whole back. So if I was talking about my core, it is not just your stomach or your abs or anything like that. When you're talking about your core, you're talking about your whole torso going back and trying to make a flat line. You will never achieve a flat line, especially if you have a bum. But you're going to try and make yourself flat against the wall.
Yeah, so one of my theories in connection that's really through teaching a lot and studying a lot of high-level dancers, and then, of course, we teach all sorts of people here from brand new, day one, all the way up to professionals, is your ability to manage your footwork through your feet, which is why we believe in the basic patterns being so important. If you're moving through your basic patterns and you're able to roll through your feet, you're able to manage your weight through your foot and hence your connection, right? Because if I were to step forward as a follower, can you lead for me? If I were to step forward as a follower and I step flat-footed, right? I have two choices. I'm either standing still or I'm on the front foot. But if I have an ability to roll through my feet, I have an ability to manage my weight through this, and I'm able to stay connected. So if Megan leads at a basic speed, I can follow at a basic speed. If Megan leads at a, you pick it, a rapid speed, so I'm rolling through the foot, but it just matters how quickly I do it, right? So run through your basic footwork, push, pass, and whip. Let's not overcomplicate things, but you have to do some sort of a sugar push, some sort of a side pass, usually a right side pass, and then a basic whip. Practicing rolling through your feet. If you don't understand rolling through your feet, whole different discussion. But what that will do, the rolling through your feet will roll into your connection, right? So would you like to talk about your...
You can finish your thought first.
Yeah, so rolling through your feet will help you manage your connection, right? And so connection, we always talk about this. I'm going to spin this Megan around this way. Base things we can do as a leader or follower, because we need to manage this. And we're going to get into the higher levels of this stuff, but the boring basics is I need to manage my connection. So maybe Miss Megan gives me a spaghetti arm. I need to be able to manage it through my elbow to stay connected. Or vice versa, maybe I give the spaghetti arm, Megan uses her elbow to take up the connection. So what do I do to be a good leader? I try to sort out and adapt. Yeah, so let's actually talk about that, unless we have a thought around that right now.
Talk about what?
No, we're going to talk. So in the beginning of a dance, what am I doing? And then you guys are going to have to do this as well.
About adapting.
Yeah, what are we doing right in the beginning of the dance? So as a good leader, what do I think I need to do? I'm trying to, these guys are crazy. I leave town for a couple of days and all goes to craziness. So as a leader, I'm trying to rate the follower right in the beginning. How well are they dancing their basic patterns? What kind of connection do they have? What kind of timing do they have? Because I'm going to need to adapt in that dance. So right as I go ahead and grab the first grip, boom, I'm already getting an opportunity. Ooh, let's go middle of the camera. I'm already getting an opportunity to figure, hey, someone's connecting to me there, right? What's going on in this hand? Am I getting a spaghetti arm or do I have someone connected? If I go like 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm getting a sense of the timing. So already I'm getting a sense of the timing and connection. And since the patterns live above that in their hierarchy, right, I can probably guess 1, 2, 3, 4 that I'm going to get Okay, that went well, right? A basic whip, okay, it's connected, her patterns are good. Another thing I'm going to do is rate their ability to turn. Okay, now I've got someone who can connect, do their basic patterns, and they can turn. And so then at that point, I've gone check, check, check. I'm good to go. And then I'll just start to level up the pattern. So literally, it would be that quick that I would assess it. Now the question is, what if someone wasn't well connected, didn't dance their basic patterns? Would I be doing this type of stuff on the third pattern I led? Absolutely not, right? I would keep it in basics. Do we have a thought? What's going on in your brains in the beginning of a dance to pay attention to your partner to decide what you can do to be a good follower to have them have a good dance?
So again, a lot of it is assessing kind of how the dance actually starts. What?
Keep going.
So one thing that you can always, connection is going to be probably the first thing that you will notice, that and timing. So for instance, Brian B just did the little sway thing. If that is on beat, you're probably gonna be okay. If that already is off beat, you're in for a ride and just hold on tight. So as far as the connection goes, you can do your part to connect to whatever he is giving you. If he doesn't have a good connection, they've kind of already talked about it, you can kind of shorten your own connection, but the very first probably 30 seconds of the dance, you'll know kind of where it's going to lead. So
what do you do? Offbeat, terrible. What goes on? What goes on? Like we go, what's that? I know, I have my own mic. So what goes on? Instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1 and 2, 3 and 4, which is good times, right? What if it's like 3 and 4, 5 and 6? What's going on through your head? Let's start in the beginning.
I always go back to my basic footwork. So I try and understand what they are trying to lead, whether it's an anchor step, whether it's, well, a starter step, a pass, a tuck, a sugar push, any of that. So I always go back to my Rolodex of moves. And from there, once I'm more comfortable with that and I kind of know what's going on with the leader, whether they miss anchors or not, I always fight for my anchor. And I don't mean fight in like a raw fight thing. I'm like anchoring in my spot, and if they pull me out, I still try to hold on to that as much as possible.
So what if the dance goes from the beginning and it's off time? We talked about this off camera. What if the dance is off time from the beginning? What goes on? What do you think about?
In what degree?
There's your microphone. What?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, explain. So if it goes wrong, right, in the beginning, let's all talk from the leader first, give you a chance to think about it. From the leader's perspective, if the dance is off time right at the beginning, right, this is where the difference between leader and follower really starts to divide. I have a great control because I'm the one that's choosing, right? So as the leader, I'm choosing what's going on. So as the leader, if it's off time right from the beginning, we go 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and I can feel the footwork's off time, it's landing off time, cool. What I'm gonna try to do is basically either through my connection, lead it there, like put the follower there, if I've got that ability. I'd like to think at this point I have that ability. But number 2, sometimes the feet just don't go to the timing of the dance of the music, right? So from there, I'm gonna try to be a metronome. So no matter what's going on the other side, I'm still leading stuff as if it was on time, and I'm dancing to time. I'm aware that the person I'm dancing with is off time, right? So I've already in my brain ratcheted down the levels of patterns that I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna try to kind of encourage it to stay on time as best I can. In my experience, it doesn't. It doesn't. So I had an experience, I'll leave the venue out, all of my friends here, where most of the people I dance with, perfectly fine connected, they didn't necessarily pull, they were reasonably comfortable dances, and they were consistently off time. So I just danced my patterns to the best of my ability and used my connection to let my partner be off time. They had a ball, I had a ball, we grabbed drinks at the bar afterwards, everything was good. That's kind of what I do on a low level. We'll talk about the high level here in a second.
On a side note, when I lead and people don't necessarily follow things, I try and do more things in closed position because I have more control over what the timing is and what they are doing. Just a side note.
So as a follower, what goes on in your brain if it's horrifically off time to start, and how do you adapt to what you do?
If it's just off time a tiny bit, I will actually connect a little bit more, so like Emily said, and try to stay on time. And relatively, it keeps the leader, I don't want to say on time, because they will pretty much always try to take you out of your anchor too early if that's kind of the theme. But at least you will get to kind of feel and stay on time for the most part. If it is so badly off time, you're never on the correct foot for whatever they're trying to lead, just go with it.
Boom.
Because if you try to do your own thing and you fight their lead, you are going to end up hurt, or they are, and it's not worth it. Just make them feel like they're having the best dance, and you know what? It might not be so bad for you either.
Yeah, so the key obviously is you have to develop your own skills first, right? To understand your patterns, your connection, and your timing on your own. That gives you the ability to either, as the leader or the follower, encourage the dance back on time, manage your connection, which is what you've got to use to communicate that to your partner. So that's your best bet. Build your own skill set through those three basic things first, and then see if you can encourage the dance that way. As the leader, you do get some choices in terms of patterns. Emily said closed position is good, right? Because let's say Miss Megan has terrible everything, right? Terrible connection, terrible patterns, terrible timing. But if I have a hand on her, I have an ability to put her on a foot, right?
Even if she's not that connected.
And I can put her on a foot.
I can't do it. I can't.
Right? So, but you have to develop that ability. You know, as a leader, as we start to scale this up, into, we're going to talk next about what makes a dance awesome. But as a leader, one of the things, let's say you think, hey, Brian B., I'm good. I know my patterns. Duh, I did that a long time ago. I'm good with my timing and connection. Cool. Can you lead a whip with your left hand? Right? Can you lead a whip with your right hand? And maybe stop it on each beat that you would like to stop it on? Right? Can you develop the sensitivity within both of your hands to be able to do that? Because those are two tools.
We just went over that last night.
Did you really?
The variation of the basics
That's
class.
awesome. Super good. So, like, what makes a dance at a high level amazing? Oh, do we have any questions, Benjamin?
No.
No?
Just a small conversation about people not having a core because they're growing the whole apple.
They're growing a whole.
They should do the 30-day plank challenge.
There's the discussion online, which you guys are watching. You probably see it, but maybe if you're on Facebook or YouTube, I don't know where the discussion's happening. It's about core, right? Your center. And Ben says, what is it?
They're losing their core because they're growing the whole apple.
They're losing their core because they're growing the whole apple. And I will admit, during this lockdown due to the coronavirus, I've eaten my fair share of ice cream. I was supposed to work out today. I didn't. I was lazy. I was working though. I wasn't being lazy. But the diet has gone.
Never lazy.
Do you have a question?
We do have a question. Whenever you anchor, is it an anchor with your, like, do you go through with your hip or do you go through with your torso?
So the question is, on the anchor, do I go back with my hip or with my torso? And so the way we teach this, number one, first things first, you're rolling through the foot, right? We're going 5 and 6, and you're rolling your weight back to the ball of your foot into, I don't want to say your heel, but into a flat foot. Now, when we do this on a wall, and I'm probably not the best wall, although I have less of a booty than you, right? If you have a wall, I always say that your hip is going to hit the wall first, but your shoulders will hit afterwards. So if anything, this hinge allows my hips to move first, but I don't want my hips to go without my shoulders. I don't want my shoulders to go without my hips, and I'm not actually stuck together where everything goes together. So probably there is a little bit of a hip first, and your butt will hit as your shoulders settle back.
It's your Coke cans.
Yeah. So, and if you watch the really high level people, they do a really good job of actually, a lot of them, especially the skinny young ones, they roll and they have a lot of separation within their bodies, but they're controlling each part. But if I were to say, like, from a basic perspective, your hips are moving first because that's the lower part of your center, but you're not just moving your hips. Your hips are maybe initiating it, right? And then your upper body is catching up with it, would be my,
It's not far behind.
it's not far behind.
I don't know why I just
Yeah.
looked at that.
So like what would be from high level dance when you come off the floor with XYZ leader, what makes it amazing for you? What just makes it amazing? What makes it cool?
I feel taken care of, and I feel like it's more of a conversation and not a one-sided, it's more of a like ongoing discussion conversation and not a one-sided talking at you moment.
I'm gonna jump in on that. Do you have any thoughts?
Really the same thing, but when your partner knows musicality really well and they know, maybe they don't even know the song, but they can figure out what to do and where to take your partner, that really helps.
Yeah, so let's scooch back to the middle. There we go. Good. So we said this earlier, it's my thing, and I'll keep saying it since you guys are watching, you're on lockdown, you're stuck listening to me, you'll understand what's in my brain. Numbers to leave numbers, meaning all of these techniques eventually just go away. So what both girls said, and for me, is I no longer have to think at all about what patterns I'm leading. My partners master their skill sets. So upping your skill sets, upping your connection, your timing, and then today said the musicality, right? And this is the whole next video. We'll talk about musicality, so stick around for that. We'll dig into that. But at that point, you're taken care of, right? So you don't have to worry. The partner is the leader. You're making adjustments within moves. The followers are making adjustments within the moves, whether the leader's a little bit on or off. And then it becomes, to your point, which I love, is a conversation. And that's the highest level of West Coast swing. We're taught in the beginning, and it sticks in our head, that it's very much leader-follower, right? Okay, you gotta wait. You wait and I lead. And then the great Damon D'Amico, shout out to Damon D'Amico, Houston, Texas. For a long period of time, I snuck into workshops. And I would sit in the workshop and I would listen to the instructor speak until I heard one cool thing. And this statement from Damon really stuck in my head. He's like, followers, you're told not to anticipate, right? Don't anticipate. You have to follow, because that's what you're taught when you begin. And he said, I want you to anticipate every step you take. I just don't want you to act too quickly. Meaning, you're going to anticipate. Right now, Megan's like, okay, push, pass, whip. What is it? She feels it and she goes, oh, it's a whip. She just doesn't act too quickly. Does that make sense? So that doesn't mean, as the follower, that you get to be lazy and wait for the leader to drag you through. But you're anticipating all of the different possibilities. You understand the timing and the musicality and all that stuff. You're just waiting, and then you go, okay, I got it. Boom, off you go. And from a high level, the music, as we start to sink into the music, it becomes a conversation. So your own styling and ability to move with your body as the follower starts to tell the leader what he might like to lead next. He, 2020.
Whoever's leading.
It could be you.
Yeah.
Questions?
Whoever's leading.
Boom, baby. Any other questions? Nothing. This is your time. It's live. This is unique experience. You get to type in. Otherwise, we could Skype in and have like all those 85 different people on the screen and we could talk. Yeah, it's too much of a tech nightmare.
Yikes.
So if we don't have any questions, we will wrap up. To clarify, we have to master our basic patterns, push, pass, and whip. We have to manage our connection, which we believe comes a lot through the feet and your own ability, which is why we put patterns first.
Weight management.
Timing actually becomes third, and this sounds really weird in dancing, but in a partnership scenario, you have to be dancing with your partner first and foremost. So if you are dancing your patterns and connected, then we're going to put the whole thing on time. Then we're going to level up our skill sets with styling and musicality and stuff like that. And if you're interested in that, it's the next video. We do have a question.
Yes. So, as a leader, when your followers off time, how do you continue to lead on time?
So as a leader, when your follower's off time, how do you continue to lead on time? Good question. Really good question. So like I said before, like let's say that we're dancing and I'm on time, Miss Megan's off time. It's difficult for her to be off time because we don't have music right here. But let's just say, for instance, she's walking out the entire wrong foot, right? I have an ability within my connection, right, to move them onto the correct foot. So they're very subtle movements. Now here's the thing as the leader, especially from this hand, any hand that's at distance, right, not one that's connected to her body, but this hand here, it's very difficult. If Megan doesn't want to follow that, she doesn't have to. So, but I have to develop the sensitivity with in this hand to see if I can encourage her with subtle movements, right? What you can't see is she's getting subtle pressures. So as the leader, that's one key. A bigger meta thing that you can do is, Emily said it earlier, is closed position, right? This is one of my things right here. I'll pick up a partner and I'll see if I can move her to that foot and that foot. If they respond, life is going to be good, because at least within this right hand, I have an ability to tell my partner where she's going, right? So as the leader, I would choose to dance things more. I would develop the sensitivity within both hands, and then I would use my pattern choices, more closed position, because that will put my hand on her body, like her actual torso, which will increase the likelihood that I can send her where she's going. That's my best bet. If it all goes awry and she's completely off time, I will try to dance like a metronome and stay on time and let her be off time. It's hard to do, but that's like another skill set. But at that point, she's unaware she's off time. I've danced with people who've danced a long time off time, and there's nothing I can do for those 3 minutes. So I try to be the metronome around that. If I can encourage them to be on time, great. If I can't, I just go with it. I'll try to dance some fun stuff, let it be off time, and then generally.
And they have the time of their life.
They have the time of their life. Any other questions?
One more.
Another question.
As a follower, I seem to not always allow my leader to lead.
As a follower, you don't always allow your leader to lead. So that's what came from Damon D'Amico's statement, where you want to anticipate everything, just don't act too quick, right? So you can't be barreling down the gun too early, right? You have, and this comes into like a little bit of timing. We'll cover this a little bit in the musicality course, the next video. But as the leader's leading, you're going to delay just a little bit. Delay. That's the very first one. What's the first two steps of every pattern in West Coast swing that you know?
Walk, walk.
How about you?
Walk, walk.
How about you, sir?
Walk, walk.
Walk, walk.
Walk, walk.
Which foot do you start on?
Right,
Which foot is the second step?
left.
So by count 2 of every pattern that you'll know in West Coast swing, you're on the left foot by 2. That's the neat trick, is that no matter what happens, we can go 1, 2. So you know you're going to be in the left foot for 2, and it's either going to be a step forward or back, so don't act too quick. Any closing thoughts, Miss Emily?
Nope. Clarity is a huge thing. So the clearer everything is, as far as, I will come back in here. The clearer that your connection is, the clearer that your footwork is, the clearer that your timing is, that will make for a good overall dance for everyone.
Cool. And on that note, we're out. If you, I should have covered this up front. If you're watching this on YouTube and you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, in the description below, there's a button on this corner. Hit the subscribe button. If you're not on our email list, go to westcoastswingonline.com. Enter your email on the front page. You'll get a free membership to our website, 50 free videos, West Coast Swing. There's some two-step cha-cha, East Coast nightclub, and more. But better yet, I've got a couple of emails that go out automatically, including a how to practice alone blog post that we wrote. Well, actually, we didn't write. We cobbled together. We have so much content resources. So everything you need to do to practice alone is in that, including just training your mind. So if you don't have that, Ben will drop that in the link in the description below. But sign up for our free membership at westcoastswingonline.com, and that will come to you in about 2 days via email to support you while we're on lockdown for COVID-19. Cool beans. See you guys again soon.